to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
Well, welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show. My name is Tom Dutta, and I am the Quiet Warrior. And I'm really excited to have on the show today JudyLynn Archer. Hey, Judy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and I just want to say the power of technology. You're calling in from Edmonton, Alberta, and I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's a sunny day on both sides, so welcome aboard.
It's a real pleasure to be here with you.
Now, Judy, I'm honored to have you on the show. I've read up a little bit about your background, but why don't we just turn it to you and let you have the first word. Tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, I started out actually in BC on the coast.
Oh,
I grew up in a single parent home in poverty, I think it's safe to say. And so our young life was really shaped by a set of circumstances that left both my brother and I unhappy, I think, at the end of the day. We left home very, very early, and I think that both of us swore that we would never go back there physically. And for me, I would never go back there. I would never go back into that set of circumstances again. So I sort of began then on a life of making sure that, my pocketbook was full. And that became, at that time in my life, that became my focus, work, make money, look after my own self.
That's awesome.
It was a selfish time of life, I guess, but that's how it was for me. I didn't want to end up where my mother had been. So that became a focus. So I was lucky. I worked. I never did go to university like my friends. That just didn't seem to be an option in our family. We just had to get out and work and support ourselves. And that's what I did. And I think at the end of the day, now looking back, it was the best thing ever for me. I was able to find out what I was good at in all those years, worked like a son of a gun, and I was able to create financial security for myself, which for me was my end goal at that time.
Well, that's
yeah.
Judy, that's pretty amazing, and I'm gonna jump in here and first of all honor you. I mean, when people come on our show, the ones that I feature don't have egos. These are people who come on and are humble and tell their story to help other people change their lives. And so I want to build you up a bit because you don't have an ego, and tell our audience, who are mostly CEOs and business owners, high success people, I want to tell them a bit about your background, just fill in some blanks. So, you were CEO for 13 years of Women Building Futures, and I know you're going to get into that with your detail in the story. And then you turn to philanthropy, and you've got a fund, an endowment fund. I'm blown away by what I've learned about that, so I'm sure we'll hear more. Your whole why behind your life and career, I think we heard some of that as you just introduced yourself, is amazing to me, and there's learnings in that. But it goes on. I mean, you've got several accolades, the Women's Executive Network Top 100 Award, Most Powerful Women in Canada Award, a Global TV Woman of Vision Award. I mean, the list goes on. So you clearly are somebody who's demonstrated passion and success. And so why don't we go back to your story? I call this the hero's journey story. And, people who talk about their success, the average person hears that and thinks, wow, that's easy. And, that person has had incredible ups and a climb to the top of their game. But behind all that are the setbacks and the challenges and sometimes traumatic stories. And so I'm fascinated with what you started talking about, which was the poverty. Take us back in time and fill in some of that story and how you made the turn the corner, why you decided to take that, and what did you do with it? Tell us more.
Well, my story of poverty, of course, can't compare to people around the world. But for my brother and I, not knowing where we were going to live, where we were going to go to school, what we were going to eat, or in particular, where we would be sleeping on any particular night, it stuck with me my whole life. I wanted to make sure that I didn't live my adult life like that. It was very difficult, and we spent our life as children surviving, where I think kids should really thrive. It's the only time in our life, where you have to really to play, be happy, no worries. And so where I'm at now is that's what I want to focus on. I was listening, Tom, to one of your other speakers, Joe Swinger, and he had talked about something called the divine discontent.
Yeah.
And what really struck me when he said that was at about somewhere around the age of 50, I had achieved some certain financial goals for myself, but really the work I was doing at the time, I didn't even like, let alone enjoy. But I was doing it. It was making good money. And one day I came across these individuals, these social workers, and they were telling me about a dream that they had to start a program that would help women get out of poverty in a way where they would never have to go back.
Yes.
And I will tell you that was that little moment for me. That all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, I've been spending all these years just thinking about myself. I've already achieved what I set out to achieve. I don't really need to do this anymore. It's not even any fun anymore. So I could not help but listen to their story and think, I've got to just quit what I'm doing and get involved. And that's what I did.
Yeah, now some would say, Judy, that you had this call to adventure. I mean, Joe Campbell in the Hero's Journey narrative that I refer to on my show says we hear this call to adventure all our lives. Some might say that when you were younger with your brother experienced poverty, you were hearing this call to adventure to do something with that. And then you heard it and you answered the call. Many people, by the way, hear the call to adventure like you did to go do something with that part of their story, and they never do. They get stuck. Some of them, unfortunately, don't make it through life. I'm just inspired by your story that you heard that call. It apparently made your heart sing, and so you went on to open up this building, or Women Building Future. So I know you're going to get into that now, but tell us about that. What is it, and how did it all work, and how did that help you fulfill your real passion?
Well, and interestingly, of course, when I started, there was really nothing. There was a little tiny bit of money, but not much.
Yeah.
But they had these social workers, these women, they had registered the organization. It's called Women Building Futures, as a not-for-profit organization. But really, that was about it at the time.
Yeah.
And so I looked around and I thought, if I looked 10 years or 15 years ahead, I thought, number one, there will be the time for this organization is now. So the organization, essentially, in a nutshell, it's to help women get out of poverty by helping them get into the well-paying careers in construction trades.
Wow.
So in Alberta, so this was I started somewhere around 202, 203. And in Alberta, we could already see at that time that the average, age of a tradesperson, mostly tradesmen, was really getting up there, and that we would see a mass exodus sometime 15 years into the future.
Mm.
So I saw that. I looked around, and from the statistics, I could see that there's no shortage of women who need to make more money, just right here in this province. And that could do really well in this kinds of work. I had also worked peripherally in this environment for a long time, and I know for sure, I know myself, women can do this work absolutely.
Yeah.
However, this work is not for everyone, man or woman. So I really thought that at the time, if we could build a program that would really help women understand and be able to assess for themselves if this is the right industry for them, and if things went along and we had that skill shortage that I thought at the time would come, that we would have something to go on. And so I began building the organization, building and building. One of the first things I wanted to do was to build a training facility that included affordable housing for women. because the lack of affordable housing for women wanting to come into training programs is just not, it's not available, and especially for women with children.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let's build some housing. We built 42 units of beautiful housing, and 18 of those units are for women with children, so they can come and live with us while they get the training and then go out to work in this industry.
Wow.
And that's what we did for the 13 years. We built an organization that consistently produced fabulous apprentices in all kinds of trades, crane operating to pipe fitting, millwrighting, all those trades that there's a huge demand and there's a huge payoff for the women, and there's a huge payoff for the industry to have a whole new, quote unquote, new local source of workers for that industry.
Absolutely.
So it worked really well from all perspectives. And we began to build our brand. And it continues to this day. It's just growing more and more and more. It was wonderful work, and of course fulfilled something in me that I don't think anything else could have. I was finally able and in a position to help other women really get out of those circumstances of poverty. Once you're in it, it's so hard to get out of it.
Yeah, Judy, that's amazing.
What we were doing.
Judy, I wanted to say to you that's amazing to me, and just share a personal insight for our audience as well. I mean, the people on the call or listening to you this interview, many of them are leaders, and I learned a long time ago that everything in life, every great thing in life starts with a thought. But here's the thing: there was something in you innately that made you say, you know what, I'm going to turn this thought into reality, when the stigma of perhaps women working in the trades or the barriers were there. I read this in something that was written about you, and I'll just quote it here. It says, if you want something, it's up to you to make it happen. That's incredible. And so when I grew up, I was working on the job site. My father was an electrician, my uncle was a plumber, and I worked on the job sites in the summer, and I didn't see I don't think I saw any women on the job site. So what you've done with your thought and turned that vision into reality is absolutely astonishing. So, keep going, keep telling us more about how that evolved. And then from there, you did something even more incredible, which is to start a endowment fund. I'd like to hear about that.
All right. Well, I think, one of the keys to our success at Women Building Futures was that we were very focused on making sure that the industry, when they hired our graduates, they were hiring individuals who had the right work ethic, the right attitude, the safety training that's necessary, so they could go out right away and be productive and safe.
Yeah.
And skilled. I mean, it's an industry that we desperately need more and more of that out in these industries today. And what happened when we really stuck to that vision was that today, industry is what keeps our doors open. We are recruiting and training. Well, I say we. I retired a year ago, but Women Building Futures today is recruiting and training more women than we could have ever had imagined at the beginning. And they are, all of that training is being funded and paid for by the companies who are wanting us to recruit and train women for their projects or for their companies. And that really tells the story. When the customer is really buying it and they're coming back for more and more and more, you've got a good thing going there.
Absolutely.
So it not only does it build and sustain the organization, it also sustains everyone that works there. They know that all that effort, building an organization from the ground up is fraught with, you can imagine, it's like any other company, all kinds of challenges, and it can be really tough on everyone involved.
Yeah.
But when you see those kinds of results and the women come back and they're now, if they were making $28,000 a year and now they're making $120,000, and they've bought their first home, their kids are now, they're taking hockey or ballet or whatever they're doing. Money is no longer an issue for that family. It just makes our heart sing. and our collective hearts sing. And I think it does for industry as well. Plus,
Yeah, I
they're
think
getting
you're
the
right.
people they need. So,
Absolutely.
yes, all that is just it's a really great.
Well, congratulations.
It's doing the right.
Congratulations. I mean, one of the things that I noted was just some of the numbers around the program. I'm just going to say this again to honor the legacy you've created. I mean, over 2,000 graduates today. These may be dated now, but that's a lot of people. 90% employment rate, increase in earnings ranging from 132 to 250%, as you touched on. And one of the things that made my heart sing was that a big part of the work you do is improving opportunities for Indigenous women. I mean, WBF is engaged, I believe, across 48 communities, and over 25 or 26% of graduates come from that community. That in itself is an incredible accomplishment. And so I want to just go back to one thing in your story and ask you for your thoughts on it, as we move to the last question before we wrap this up. And that is, a lot of people who have past events, I mean, in your case, it was living in circumstances, marginalized circumstances, I'll refer to it that way, where life was tough. And you just said, I've had enough of this pain. I don't want this anymore. And I don't want other people to experience this. But what we learned is through science and through the work I do is that the subconscious mind, which controls everything we do, has all these memories and thoughts and beliefs embedded. A lot of people, even in today's world where they're working as leaders, those things keep coming back and plaguing them. So give us just, your best advice. What have you done so that every day when you get up in the morning, you can live a happy, fulfilled life and not let those past experiences, hold you back today?
Oh gosh, I should have been prepared for this question. I'm not sure that I have the answer or an answer, Tom, other than to say, I think really getting clear with yourself on why you're here. I often say to myself, it sounds morbid, but I say, if I die tonight, am I ready? Will I be happy? Do I feel that I have fulfilled some purpose? Have I been useful to somebody? And that's what I ask myself, and I pretty much ask it every day.
Well, I think you nailed it.
Am I really ready? Am I doing what I need to do to be ready?
Well, you know what, Judy? For somebody who didn't have an answer ready, I think you nailed it. That is awesome. I have another note I wrote down here from some research on you, and somebody wrote, there's an inner strength that surfaces as Judy talks. Her grittiness was forged in the grinding poverty of her childhood. And I wrote down beside that on my paper, her why. And I think that's a leadership lesson you've given to us today, that you continue to move forward, anchoring your why, anchoring why you're in service to others. So congratulations. Last question for you would be this. If, we've met now, and if I met you on the street and I didn't really know about all this work you're doing, and I said, hey, Judy, what's your purpose on the planet? What's your gift? Why are you here? What would you say?
I think my purpose now is number one, finding ways to really acknowledge and thank all the people that it took to get Women Building Futures to where it is today, well, last year when I left, because it took so many. And so I think one of that is that, and also I want to continue to contribute to the well-being of women till my last dying breath. And that's why I started the endowment fund. I donated $100,000 personally, and I'm not a wealthy woman, but I donated that. And my goal is to build that, obviously to millions. I'm working on that this year already. And that endowment fund will eventually help cover the cost of our affordable housing and our training programs for women who fall through the funding cracks. So for me, it's to continue doing what I have been doing until I can't do it anymore.
Well, that's amazing. You've really got it all figured out. It's such an inspiring story. So, Judy, I'm going to honor you with a few leadership words. I write these down as I do my interviews. It's not scripted; it just comes to mind. So, the first one is vision. You had a vision, and that's a characteristic of of a great leader. Inspiration. Your story inspires me. When I read about you, it inspires me. Just thinking about what you're doing for women inspires me. I have a daughter who's 20, and I have people in my life who have been very successful, and in some cases having to deal with challenges or adversity. These women, and you've done something here to inspire the world in that way. You are gratitude, and the last one is wealth. You are wealth, and $100,000 into your endowment fund is an incredible, generous donation. And I'm going to encourage anybody to listen to this to find a way to connect and learn more from you about what you're trying to do in the world, and maybe help in that way. So tell us about how we or others can connect to you to learn more about your body of work or what you're doing with this project.
Well, they can call me.
Okay.
They can call me, email. They can go to the Women Building Futures website, find my contact. It's best to just contact me personally through my phone number, and I'm going to give it to you right now.
Okay.
780-952-1451.
Awesome. Well, I hope that your phone rings off the hook. And in my journey, Judy, I find heroes and heroines who are changing the world. You're one of those. Welcome to the tribe. And I will be telling people about the great work you're doing. So thank you for being on the show, and maybe we'll have you back in the future to tell us more.
Thank you so much, Tom, for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, you're very welcome. Everybody, find that true passion and live with purpose and live your life that you deserve and desire.
Thank you for listening to The Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca